Hey YouTube, it's Auntie Mickey. I'm back again. I'm here to pick up where I left off with Kim's Lost Words, Kim Porter's memoirs by Jamal T. Millwood for Kimberly A. Porter. Now, on my first video, when I started this, Jamal T. Millwood is an alias. I did find out the guy's name, his real name is Chris. Oh God, I forgot that quick. Forget it. I'll tell you later. I'm geriatric. What can I say? But nevertheless, Jamal T. Millwood is not the real name of this individual that wrote this book. Nevertheless, I'm going to go ahead and proceed where I left off. Chapter 7 is called Threats. At this point, I knew I had to get away from him, but I was scared. Is he going to take my life if I try to escape? One February evening, I thought I found my opportunity at dinner after an event. We were at a ritzy restaurant in a private booth. It was an exclusive setup. We were alone, but we were in public. Perfect. Sean was on the phone talking to an unknown listener as he sat down. His words on that call will be etched into my mind forever. We're going to release "Who Shot Ya Now?" He waited for a response, then went on to say, "Of course they going to think Big was talking about Pac. That's the whole fucking point. Nobody would give a fuck about a diss track against LL fucking Cool J. Do you know how much money we'll make with this kind of rap beef? Niggas battling after someone really got shot? This may not be the best time for this conversation." Sean was finishing up. "We drop that shit tomorrow." He listened into the phone, then responded, "There's going to be blood in the streets. Niggas missed. Pac's alive. Let's capitalize on that shit." When he responds, it's just going to mean more money. He turned around and looked at me, spoke back into the phone, "I'll call you back," then hung up and spoke to me. "What's wrong?" I tried my best to give a fake smile at what I'd heard. After all, me and Pac were intimate. I responded, "Nothing." Sean wasn't fooled. "Are you sure?" His demeanor was threatening, but I responded as cool as I could muster to his intimidating stare. "Yeah, of course." He took my hand, saying, "That's wonderful." He began to squeeze my hand until it hurt as he continued, "Because seeing you walk in the office while I was talking about killing that motherfucker, not saying shit to me, had me just a little concerned." His grip was starting to hurt badly. "You're hurting me," as he continued. He squeezed tighter. "You're pretending you didn't hear anything was a sign of your loyalty to me, not something I should be concerned with, right?" I had no choice but to give him the answer he wanted. I knew I was trapped when I responded, "Of course I'm loyal to you." He let me go as he responded, "Good. And remember, I'm the big dick." I snatched my hand back in pain. He smiled and said, "Let's start off with a good wine." He snapped his fingers, and his favorite wine was poured for him. They knew what Sean wanted, and what he wanted, he got. I'm trapped. Now isn't the time for me to launch my escape plan. I have to be strategic. It's going to be hard to leave the glamour, the glitz, the lifestyle. I mean, this man just snapped his fingers in one of those exclusive restaurants in New York City, and they poured his drink of choice. The bottle of wine is $800, and this is 1994. The list to get in this place is 6 months long if you are somebody. Mayor Giuliani has a table right here tonight also. If I got up and walked out, I'd be safe. But what about tomorrow? I had to think. He sipped his wine and smiled. You're not drinking. He pointed at my glass, and of course a waiter filled it. They knew what I liked as well. Sean has a bad temper. He yells sometimes. And okay, he's roughed me up once or twice, but he never punched me. He never bruised me, and he never hit Quincy. I would not have stood for that. He never laid a hand on my son at that time. I never thought of him touching Quincy in any way. Then the significance of what he said hit me. Is he mad at Tupac over me? I'm the big dick. Oh my God. The last time he put his hands on me, it was because I enjoyed Jamie Foxx too much. Shit, he enjoyed Jamie too. He gets so insanely jealous. It's not fair. He wants to bring other men into the bedroom, but gets jealous when he does. Damn, you're quiet tonight, he said, snapping back into the present. I asked a question that was burning in my mind since I walked into that office. What does Chris think of this? He looked at me coolly and said, his fat ass better just keep doing music. A third guest was escorted over by security. Sean motioned for him to sit. A waiter walked over to Sean Carter and asked, would you like something? Carter responded, no thank you, then said hello to me with a smile. Smiling, I replied, hey Carter, and took a sip of my drink. The Seans may share a bed together from time to time, but thankfully, I was never asked to join. Carter went on to speak to Sean. I thought we were meeting in private. Sean replied with a nonchalant shrug. I had to discuss something with her. It's fine. Go ahead. He wielded this kind of power. Carter shifted uncomfortably in his chair before continuing. It's true. Chris and Pac were about to start their own label. Sean slammed his fist against the table, shouting, doesn't anyone have any fucking loyalty? Carter. Well, that's not happening right now, right? Sean peered at Carter with distrust. Why the fuck are you so eager to share this with me? Chris is your man. Fuck, he brought you on, and you're stabbing him in the back? Carter responded with indignity. First, I'm tired of being that nigga's son. I need to come out from under his damn shadow. Sean smiled slightly. Okay, I respect that. Carter kept going. On top of that, this nigga is making that move, and it should have been with me. Sean looked at Carter blankly. Pac put Chris on. You know this. What's this really about, Carter? Don't fucking try to play to me. The Jay-Z of today wasn't born yet. This young Sean Carter was in over his head. Cornered, he had to spill it out. I want his spot. Ambition. Now this is a man I can work with. Sean made a grandiose gesture toward Carter. Waiter, get this motherfucker whatever he wants. Carter smiled. Thank you. Sean responded, honesty and ambition. We're going to make a lot of bread together. Carter ordered a drink as he stated again. Guess he won't be leaving with that nigga to do their own label now. Sean responded with his normal air of arrogance. Why don't you let me worry about that? I took this as my cue to escape. I told Sean, I'm going to go ahead and get back to Quincy. Sean was wrapped up in his conversation with Carter and barely noticed as he excused me. Have the limo drop you off. We didn't eat. He didn't care. I smiled and kissed him on the cheek and left. Oh, chapter 8. Kidada. Don't know what that means, but okay. Kidada. Actress, model, and fashion designer Kidada Jones was Tupac Shakur's fiancée and is the daughter of record producer Quincy Jones and actress Peggy Lipton. Being around other celebrities was just a part of life. Meeting Kidada was just one of those events, and as time went on, we became close. We hung out together, went shopping, and so on. It was about the same time I met Kimura. Those were the days, or so I thought. We always had girl talk, and the fact she was dating someone I had previously been with wasn't a source of contention. We didn't get jealous of each other. It was just girl talk stuff. No, I did not become intimate with Kidada. Kimura was too jealous for that. Wow. Yes, Kidada knew about Kimura, Sean, and I, all being together sexually. Of course she did. We shared that kind of thing. We were open and honest with each other about almost everything. A true friendship, except I couldn't be open and honest about everything. Not anymore. Sean made sure of that. Kidada and Pac were the greatest couple. He was always so cool and, yes, sexy. She was so beautiful and fun. Before all the tension and beef, we used to all hang out together. It was always dope vibes. But with Pac shooting and the suspicions surrounding Sean and Jimmy, the vibes between Kidada and I weren't always perfect. Then came that night. Award shows weren't anything new for us at this point. We dolled up as the men groomed. We didn't choose what we wore. A stylist prepared our color palettes, a makeup artist did our makeup, and a hairstylist did our hair. This was just the way things were. We shared the best stylists in the business. Sometimes we would all go to the studio for an event to get our measurements taken. But this time, Kidada seemed different. I felt like something was wrong. But when I probed her, she wouldn't say anything. Then the day of the event was here. We would all see each other inside. Even though Sean was my man, as far as props, I had nothing on Kidada. Being Quincy Jones's daughter had perks, and superstardom was among them. Pac wasn't there. When she saw us, she came over to our table. We sat around kicking it with a very dope vibe. Sean knew he was going to clean up this award show. He had all but taken over the East Coast musically. With all the hits, there really was no way he wouldn't. Bad Boy is Hall of Fame stuff now, and Sean P. Diddy Combs knew it. Sean smiled at Kidada as she sat at our table, but something about that smile didn't seem authentic. Soon I would know why. He's sick when he has a grudge against someone. As she sat, Sean said, "Bad Boy is going to clean the fuck up." From his table with Faith, Chris replied, "Hell yeah, and that new shit we busting out gonna have these niggas sick." Kidada signaled for the waiter to pour her a glass of ginger ale that sat over at her table. As the waiter refreshed her drink, she said, "Pac's music's gonna get some love too." Sean grimaced. "Oh, come on, Sean. I know y'all got your differences, but you have to admit the man makes great music." Sean looked at me out of the corner of his eye, then took another sip of his favorite cognac and replied, Bad Boy got the hottest music on the fucking planet. But I ain't tripping. Everybody's got to get their shine, right? Kidada sighed. Sean, Tupac thinks you were involved with him getting shot. You two were so close. You need to make this right. Sean responded indignantly. Indignantly. I said it right, okay. Why the fuck would that nigga think I had anything to do with it? Kidada retorted. Sean, can you blame him? Sean was obviously not happy with that question. By his reply, hell yeah, I blame him. We had a good thing going, all of us. That nigga turned on me, and he has the fucking balls to blame me for his shooting. The indignity he managed to spew out while lying through his teeth was something I did not expect. I was thrown back for a moment before interjecting. Da, do we have to do this tonight? It's Sean's big night. Kimura heard the ruckus and made her way over to our table as well. She sat down and said, "Hi, hey everybody," with that big dimpled smile. I smiled and replied, "Hey." Kidada also seemed happy to see her as she said, "Hey, what's up, Kimmy?" Kimura, never the type to hold her tongue, went straight at it. The whole place is buzzing with the fact you're sitting here accusing Sean of having Pac shot. Y'all kinda, loud. She laughed. Kidada seemed embarrassed as she looked around to see everybody staring and whispering. But she wasn't about to back off. In fact, she doubled down. Anybody here not talking about it ain't real anyway. We all know Sean was behind it. Kimura forced a smile. Honey, we don't have to do this here. Kidada made clear she was not to be silenced as she continued. Oh, let's not hurt the feelings of Sean Puffy Combs. He only had one of the most prolific rappers in the game shot. Sean clenched his hands into fists. If this was anyone else, this would have turned ugly. But this was Quincy Jones's daughter. Sean was a monster in the streets, well feared by men that knew. But he did not want any of the smoke Quincy Jones could bring. Kidada could continue with impunity. Sean could not touch her. Christopher and Mary, both wanting to defend the super producer that made them famous, both started to stand and make their way over to the table. But Sean signaled them off with a firm motion of his hand. They remained in their seats watching helplessly. Kidada seemed to be on a full rampage. You're not safe in the streets, Sean. You think you're untouchable? Kimura seemed almost red in the face when she grabbed Kidada by the hand, saying, I gotta go to the restroom. Kidada would not stop. Not willing to stop, snatched her hand away, yelling, Let go of me! Kimura needed her to get a grip and said, sternly as a parent speaking to a child mid-tantrum, Da! Kidada turned to her and yelled, What? Kimura nodded toward the crowded room, and Kidada looked around. Here she deflated slightly. Kimura, now in control, spoke firm but softly. Let's go powder our nose. Kidada nodded with a grimace and gave a sharp look back at Sean as she walked away. As the tension slowly melted away, I asked Sean, You okay? Sean didn't reply at first. He looked around, saw that no one was really paying attention now that the ruckus had died down, and stood to get the pitcher of ginger ale from Kidada's table. He poured himself a drink from it, looked around again, saw no one was paying him any attention, and put the pitcher under the table. What was he doing? Then I heard the distinct sound of liquid being poured into liquid. Oh my God. Is he peeing in the pitcher? He smiled at me as he brought the pitcher back from up under the table and finally replied to me, "I'm good." He then stood and returned the pitcher to the table. I was in awe. I knew he had a bad temper, but this was disgusting. I'll never eat or drink something after we have an argument ever again. Kadada and Kimura made their way back to Kadada's table to sit, as Sean watched on quietly. Sean made small talk. "Which songs do you think they'll give me awards for?" As Kadada poured her drink, Sean's bodyguard made his way over to the table. I think he stopped her from drinking, as everyone else just sat and watched. Jean risked incurring Sean's wrath. If I'm right. Relieved, I replied, "Babe, your catalog is crazy. It could be a lot of songs." Sean glared at Kadada's table the entire night. Chapter 9. Going back to Cali. We had a wild night. It was after one of Sean's infamous parties. Everyone was there, and not only had threesomes, but we also swapped partners. Our sex life was crazy, but I got to do things with Sean I would never have been able to do with a straight man. Sean cared about me, but it was becoming more and more obvious that he preferred men. I was beginning to think I was there more to cover his wild desires than because he really wanted me to be with me. He was like Caesar, every woman's man and every man's woman. But truthfully, at that stage, I was becoming okay with it. You know what that means. He was a bottom. Anywho, moving on. I woke up and left the bedroom where I was with Jada Pinkett, and Sean happened to be coming out of the bedroom with XXXXX and Will Smith. Yes, XXXXX attended the parties from time to time. I could see him and Will kind of snuggled up on the bed together. I was grateful I wasn't asked to join in that room. I didn't really like XXXXXX. Sean smiled when he saw me. "Good morning." Here at the orgies, he wasn't very affectionate. He didn't have to pretend, but he couldn't walk straight. I knew how his ass felt, literally. We'd had sessions playing with each other's anal cavities. I wanted to be home before Quincy woke up, so I told him, "I'm getting ready to go." He responded, "Let's have a cup of coffee first." This meant he wanted to talk. I didn't know what this was about, but in situations like this, I didn't really have a choice. He was becoming more violent when he didn't get what he wanted, and I didn't really want to fight, so I sat down. But before we started talking, XXXXX came out of the room. Sean was wearing boxers. XXXXX was in his birthday suit. XXXXX addressed us, "Morning." When he turned around in order to close the door, there was a dried cum stain on his back. Ugh. XXXX walked over, pulled a chair out to sit down next to us, and lit up a blunt. Sean stretched, smiled, and said, "This East Coast, West Coast beef is more lucrative than I thought, but it's getting dangerous." XXX responded, surprised. "Business first thing in the morning? Damn, cuz, you own it. But you know you don't got nothing to worry about. You got a pass, daddy." XXXXX smiled coyly. Sean apparently had something to talk about with XXX as well, because he said, I can't protect everybody, especially if someone is no longer going to be on my label. It was apparent XXXX was taken aback by this turn of events by his reply. Sean continued, it's taxing on my resources to protect people. Someone that isn't 100% on my team can't get 100% of my protection. What the hell is going on here? What did Sean want from me? This morning is turning out to be way more than I expected, and I have to go. Quincy will be looking for me. Meanwhile, XXXX apparently wanted clarity. So to be clear, if something happened, XXXX made quotation marks with his fingers, to one of your artists that was leaving your label anyway, it would be considered, he marks another set of quotation marks, out of your control. Is that what you're saying? Wait a minute. Can they be talking about Biggie? Is Sean saying he won't protect Biggie? At this point, I was too young, too naive, and too hungover to understand that this was not a lack of protection. This was a hit. Where did this come from this morning? But an older, wiser me understands now what I did not comprehend all those years ago. Sean was just getting to the real reason that he had XXXX there. The world was about to lose Biggie. XXXX laughed. You a cold motherfucker. Sean said, why the fuck should I protect someone that isn't gonna stick around? I made him. That nigga should be worshiping the ground I fucking walk on. I was thinking, Sean's ego is rearing its ugly head, and I wanted to get out of there, but instincts told me I need to tread carefully. So my next move had to be calculated. I don't really want any part of this, not even implicitly, but I was just dragged right into the middle of it. If what was happening here ever comes out, will I be held as an accomplice? But even as those thoughts crossed my mind, I couldn't just pretend this was just okay. So I said, but Sean, he hasn't left yet. They're just rumors. Are you going to let him die because of some rumors? Sean glared at me, the anger in his voice obviously stemming from hurt, as he said, I know when I'm being betrayed. I am not killing anyone, but I am not protecting somebody that doesn't have my back 150%. Fuck that. This was railing out of control. My mind began to race. Is there a way to get through to him? Maybe I could use the finance route. Sean, he's bringing in so much money. You put so much money into cultivating him. Are you going to throw all that money away? That's when he revealed how thought out his meeting really was. If he leaves, he takes all the money I invested into creating him. Sean sighs, but if he can't protect himself and something terrible does happen, then the money I would make off of his death would blow away all the money we made so far. I was perplexed. Sean, he continued, he's worth more to me dead than alive. Sean Combs is a calculated monster. XXXX chimes in. I get that, fam. A lot of people out there want Biggie dead too. Without your protection, he doesn't stand a chance in Cali. Biggie is going to die. This is crazy. I dare not say anything else about it. Sean smiles and stands to walk over to a safe behind a picture. There he pulls out a bag marked with X's name. He turns to XXXX and says, "That's why you're worth your weight in gold. You understand me. Here's a little something for you to take care of my people." XXX smiles. "Sean, I love you, baby. You know I got your back. Your problems are my problems. I'll make sure to have my people take care of your people." I need to get out of here. This is crazy. I attempted to leave again. "Sean, I want to go get Quincy before he wakes up." Sean looked at me, responding, "It's getting late. Give him a kiss for me." "I'm going to get out of here. Thank God." XXX always with something to say. "I'd love to meet the little tyke sometime." Not a chance in hell. Something about this guy creeps me out. I forced a smile. "That would be great." I made my exit. Chapter 10. The Lies You Tell. Chapter 10. The Lies You Tell. At this point, the relationship between Sean and I had been off and on for quite a while, and we were off at this point. He had put his hands on me again, and this time for something that didn't even happen. It was all in his head. When the phone rang, I picked it up anyway. "Hi, Sean." He sounded trepidatious as he said, "We've been broke up for a while this time." "Yeah," he continued, "I don't want anyone to know about my—" He paused to search for the right word. "Proclivities?" I replied, "So you don't want people to know about you being gay?" Sean exploded. "See, that's why I fucking lose control on you." So I just plainly stated, "Goodbye, Sean." "Wait," he screamed. "What, Sean?" "I'm sorry, okay?" "You're always fucking sorry." He took a deep breath. "I have to do something to cover myself." I sighed. "Do whatever you fucking want, Sean. When you see this is in the news, it's not real." This made me calm down a moment. What could he be talking about? He continued, "I'm only doing it for the press." "Doing what?" After a long pause, he continued, "She knows what this is. She is just pretending to cover me." "Sean, what the hell are you talking about?" Another pause. "Publicly, I'm going to be dating someone else. A video girl." I laughed. "Why would you do that?" "I have to cover myself." I was getting mad. I was actually angrier at myself more than at him. Why was I getting jealous? I was sitting there actually comparing myself to a video vixen in my mind. They are thick, but look at my body. Did he prefer them light-skinned big butt girls from videos? I calmed myself. No, I know he likes men. Any damned way. As I regained control, I asked, "Why the hell are you telling me?" He sighed. "I wanted you to find out from me first." Like I give a shit. He came at me with his favorite line, "You know I love you." It was getting old. I could only think to myself, here we go. Love is a big, strong word. I'm tired of him throwing it around and using it when it fits his needs. He's using it while he's sitting here telling me about dating someone else. I replied, "You don't hit people you love, Sean. Love doesn't hurt." He sucked his teeth as he responded, "Come on, are you serious? That shit's for children. We aren't in fucking high school. Sometimes things happen. That doesn't mean I don't love you. I wouldn't hit you if I didn't. Wait. That sounded wrong." You said exactly what you meant. He took a breath. There was an awkward silence. The fact I was still on the phone and waiting for him to speak meant he had the power. He was more cautious as he continued. He didn't want to lose that power. Kim, no one that I don't care about can bring that kind of emotion out of me. I wanted to say, is that how you talk to dudes after using butt plugs? But there is a line I dare not cross. Instead, I said, you say that while you're dating some other bitch? That's just for the public. I was done. I could be heard in my voice as I said, whatever, Sean. Do what you need to do. Leave me alone. I'm never giving up on us, he cried. I responded to that emotional control attempt with the little resolve I could muster. I didn't even believe the words that came tumbling out of my mouth. Sean, there is no us anymore. Goodbye. Tell Quincy I miss him, he threw out. His emotional manipulation was really driving me crazy. This time I said with much more conviction, goodbye, Sean. I hung up. Manipulative bastard. Chapter 11. Mo Problems. For a while, I was actually happy to see Sean gone. I was getting older, and the sex parties were out of control. It was getting time for me to slow down. Quincy was getting older. I knew that if I kept going, the rumors circulating were going to eventually find a way to get back to him. What will he think of me? Chris is about to take his trip to California. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen out there, but I felt like Tiana Wallace was about to be an orphan. I knew I didn't want any ties to that. As I was sitting there contemplating all of this in my robe, sipping my wine on this Friday evening, my doorbell rings. I was not expecting company. I opened the door and found Sean. My heart skipped a beat. I was shocked, but recovered quickly. I forced a smile and told him with a slightly slurred speech, "Hey, come on in." Shit, I am way more intoxicated than I thought. Sean entered looking around suspiciously, then turned to me and smiled, saying, "You haven't been returning my calls. I just wanted to make sure you're okay." "I'm fine." He obviously was not here out of concern. He was checking to see who was here. Sean was controlling like that. Yes, even though we were not together and he was dating someone else. He started to make his way to the living room. I attempted to put a quick end to the visit, but it came out a little more directly than I intended. "So, since you can see I'm fine, you can let me go to bed now." Part of me wanted him to stay. As he entered the living room, I was forced to follow. Sean was very direct with his next inquiry. "Is someone else waiting for you?" "No, but, Sean, we're not together." "You're dating someone else? I can fuck whoever I choose." With this, Sean became irate. He fiercely slammed me into the ground. Then he pulled out a .22 and set it on the end table. He turned to me calmly. I was scared. My voice quivered as I pled to him, "Sean, please stop. Quincy's here." How did we get here? How did we get to the point that he was in my living room threatening me with a gun? He knelt on one knee and got right in my face to say, "You're mine. You don't have a choice in that now. I can't live without you." He stood up, composing himself. I was terrified as I whimpered, "Sean, that's not love." Sean picked up his gun and cocked it. He looked at me almost thoughtfully and asked, "Have you ever heard, if I can't have you, no one can?" "Sean, please don't. Please. Quincy will hear." Sean smiled and put the gun away, saying, "Oh, this is just for dramatic effect. I would never shoot you. If I was going to kill you, no one would trace it to me. You know how many people I've had to take care of over the years? It would be quiet. Something in your food or drink. Something that will never get back to me. I wouldn't shoot you. Do you understand?" I could only nod, tears flowing down my cheeks. He looked at me thoughtfully as he reached down to help me up. I could do nothing but agree. He's a terrifying monster. Now he wanted to smooth it over, and I had to go along with it. What else could I do? Listen, baby, I don't ever want to hurt you. You know I really love you, or I would have moved on. Thinking about living my life without you is just too hard. If someone ever tried to hurt you, I would kill him. My back hurt from where I hit it on the table when he shoved me. All I could do as he helped me up was nod that I understood through my streaming tears, which he wiped. He looked toward Quincy's room. "Let me say good night." "No, Sean, please." Thinking quickly, "he has to get up in the morning." Sean looked at me with an unreadable look. He was studying me. "Okay, I'm going to go." Nervously, I walked him to the front door. "This is over. Thank God." He kissed me. I didn't want him touching me, but I couldn't refuse. "Kiss Quincy for me." I tried to keep my composure as I replied, "Sure, Sean." He opened the door to leave. The bodyguard that was waiting outside escorted him to the car. This was far worse than I realized. Why would he need a bodyguard at the front door? How was he anticipating this to go? After I shut the door, I had another drink. For tonight, the nightmare was over. I sipped on my wine and cried. The next few days, he sent dozens of flowers. He brought Quincy expensive gifts, toys. He didn't want me. He wanted me to keep his secret. I'm trapped. He has the authorities under his thumb. I can't go to them. This is like a gangster movie. How high up does his power go? How far is his reach? The FBI? The CIA? Who is not corrupted, or who won't get silenced by their upper chain of command? Can anyone help me and my child? He found his way back to my bed. I had no choice. Chapter 12, A Mama's Love. The calamity that ensued behind the death of Biggie shook the East Coast. It rocked me as well. Sean could have stopped it. He was complicit in it. He was a contributor. He knew it was going to happen and didn't stop it. This was his friend. No, they were not nearly as close as Sean would have the public believe, but still. As far as Sean was concerned, we were great. To the public, we were just having the off and on relationship of a normal couple. And I probably just seemed like a money-hungry hoe. But the truth is, I just got used to not having a choice. Today I recognized it Today I recognized it for what it was. Stockholm Syndrome. I was at his beck and call and had become comfortable with it. Quincy had everything he could ever want, with the exception, of course, of a normal parental figure. That is why this chapter is so powerful for me. A mother's love is so real. One night I was out with my boyfriend. Yes, we were on again. And we were joined for dinner by none other than Miss Wallace. Sean looked over as security allowed Miss Wallace to approach the table and sit. Miss Wallace spoke with a smile. "Hello, Sean. Hi, Kim." I smiled the best I could. What a situation. For all intents and purposes, she is sitting with her son's killer. I hope my voice didn't betray my feelings as I said, "Hi, Miss Wallace." Sean smiled also as he said, "Hello, Miss Wallace. What can I do for you?" "When I got your call, it sounded urgent." He was able to appear as if he was smiling warmly. This was the creepiest situation of my entire life. She looked at Sean with pleading eyes. "I know this isn't your problem, but things have gotten kind of hard. I was hoping that you could send some of that money Chris made with you this way." Sean shook his head. "That's not something I can just do. There's attorneys and accountants. Can I maybe help you out with a little something to get you past the hump?" Sean reached into his pocket to dig for his wallet. "I haven't even seen how much Chris left. It's going on 2 years. Just how long is this going to take?" Sean sighed as he replied, "These things are difficult, Mrs. Wallace. I don't know. The attorneys don't make this easy." Miss Wallace pushed further. "I don't understand what's so difficult. He worked for you. He made his money. Where is it?" Sean shook his head as if saddened by what he was saying as he continued, "It's not like I can just give you his money. You're entitled to certain amounts, and they are just trying to figure out what that amount is. I don't mean to sound cruel, but it wouldn't be fair to me to just give you the tons of money. You got rich off my son, and now you're keeping all of his money?" Sean kept his cool as he replied, "I'm afraid business isn't that cut and dry, Miss Wallace. I paid for publishing, publicity. I mean, in all actuality, if I'm going to be straightforward, Mrs. Wallace, Chris probably owed me money. I won't know until it's all worked out." The anger in Miss Wallace's voice barely overshadowed the pain, or perhaps it magnified it as she uttered the only words she could muster. "You bastard." Sean didn't flinch. He just said, "Look at the contract. I'm honestly trying to get him as much as possible out of it, but I have investors. I can't just take money that doesn't belong to him and start giving it away." Miss Wallace exploded in response. "You know good and well Chris didn't owe you a damn thing." Sean stared her straight in the eye, unwaveringly, and said, "He would have started making a profit after a few years. His money until his album sales paid for studio time, music videos, publishing, and marketing would have come from doing shows. I'm sorry. He isn't here to make that money. I miss him." Her response was deadpan. "Did you kill my son?" Momentarily, Sean was stunned into silence. She asked again, her voice quivering. "Did you?" He started. "Miss Wallace," she would not be redirected. "Answer the question." I was not used to seeing Sean on the defensive. "No, of course not." She looked at him with spite, the anger in her voice enough to send shivers up my spine, as she replied with a menace only a mother can. "I don't believe you, Sean." Sean looked at her with a sadness that I knew in my soul to be fake. Although looking at him without context, anyone would believe him, as he replied, "I'm sorry to hear that." Today, I know he was able to muster that false sincerity because he's a sociopath. Back then, I thought it was compassion. With no more words, Miss Wallace stood up and left. Sean watched her exit with disbelief. Not knowing what to do, I placed my order. Dinner that night was long and silent. I feared for Miss Wallace's life. Sean is most dangerous when he feels threatened. No, she could not physically threaten him, but his threat was very real. If she goes public with her accusations, Sean's image would be damaged. I have felt for myself the extents he will go through in order to protect that image. Okay, I'm going to cut it here. So, my next video will start from chapter 13, Have Some Faith. Hope y'all enjoyed that reading. I'll get back at you on the final video. Take care.